Welcome to the Celeste Stacy Show. Celeste Stacy is your host. Celeste Stacy is an author of 4 novellas, SAI, Secret Agents of the Illuminati, books 1 through 3, and Tales of the Illuminati, Boxcar Willie. You can listen to her show on www.secretnarty.com/listen. And now, a few messages from our sponsors of the show.
Looking to get into podcasting? Look no further than Anchor. That's right, folks. You heard it here. You can host your podcast show on Anchor for free.
And now, back to the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Celeste Stacy Show. I am your host, Celeste Stacy. Alright, so tonight's episode we're going to dive back into book 1 and talk more about the inspiration behind the characters of how I came up with the characters. Okay, so the kid, he wasn't totally based on my one youngest son, Caleb. The kid is like an amalgamation of my 2 boys, Caleb and Taylor. Yeah, I have 3 sons. So, the 2, Caleb and Taylor, they're about a year, about 14 months maybe apart in age. And they pretty much grew up, real close. But early on, they fought like cats and dogs. I mean, seriously, folks, they fought, and it was just like they always try to be a competition and try to outdo each other and one-up and yeah. And let me tell you, I got some stories for you on this one. So, when they were approaching their teen years, I had to put a stop to it, and it was like, I made them face each other. We were in the kitchen, and then they were like fighting. Okay, so yeah, when we built our own house, and when we moved into our new house, and they were just continuing their bickering and their fighting, and it was like I had to put a stop to it. And I made them face each other, and I told him, I go, you 2 are brothers. I want you to stare at each other, look at each other, and try to imagine yourself as the other person. And it's like none of you have done anything that warrants the level of hatred that you're showing to each other, and it needs to stop. And they stood there for a good 5 minutes and just, looking at each other. And I think for the first time, they actually saw each other. I think they saw themselves in each other. And after that, they got along great. They were brothers. It was just like, it went on for years, and it was like, me and my wife, it was just nuts. And after that, they were good. And now, they later in life, they're adults, they're in their 20s, and they get along great. So, yeah. So, anyways, my middle son Taylor, he served in the army for 7 or 8 years. It was kind of messed. I don't know how it was. I don't know, 4 in, 3 on reserve, but he ended up with a medical discharge, and so yeah. So the kid, who clone soldier of the City and Order, he's based off my two sons, Taylor and Caleb. So, yeah. And then, Victor, the Russian liaison officer, he's based on my nephew Jake. Now, Jake, he he's had a rough life, and for the amount of the shit that's happened to him, he just lets it roll off his backside. And it's like man, nothing gets you down, and that's good, because he had a stepfather who was an absolute prick, and his mom lives up in Michigan, and he was living down here. And it's like, as soon as he turned 18, graduated, his fucking stepdad's saying, and Jake was living with his grandmother, and his grandmother passed away. And it's like, within a couple of months after she passed away, his stepdad was saying, get the fuck out, we're selling this place, and I need you to vacate. And he's like, where am I supposed to go? And he goes, it's not my problem. So, we took him in, and he stayed in. And this pissed me off. His stepfather didn't try to teach him how to drive, didn't give him real life skills on how to take care of himself. So it's like, we took him in. He lived with us for a good year, or maybe a little bit more than a year. And and my wife, Chris, she taught him how to drive, got his driver's license, and we gave him a place to live. And when we were done, he was driving, had a car, he was self-sufficient, he had a job, and he knew how to take care of himself. And me and Chris, we did that. We taught him the necessary life skills that he needed to survive as an adult. I mean, something happened with my sister and her ex-husband, and she split, and she was ready to kill herself over it, and she went up to Michigan, and she met a nice guy up in Michigan who helped her get better. But meanwhile, Jake, our nephew, was living with his stepdad, and he was taking it out on him that she split, because she split. And it's like, dude, that's not right. So Jake's grandparents, his stepdad's mom took him in, and he lived with his grandmother. And then when she passed away, the stepfather, he's saying, get the fuck out of the house, we're selling this, I'm going to make some money off of this. It's like, you greedy son of a bitch. And he's supposed to be a Christian. Yeah, get that. His dad was a minister for Church of Nazarene in Waseon, Ohio, I think. But yeah, he's so much for being a good Christian. So, anyways, Jake, he would always do these, Russian impressions, and he always made us laugh. He got along great. When he lived with us, and it's I was telling Chris, it's like we should have stepped in years ago when he was littler and just took him on as our own. It's like that would have saved so much headache for him. And it's just So, anyways, the Russian liaison Victor is based off my nephew Jake, because he just nothing phases him. And he does these impressions, and it's just awesome. So, yeah, that's what it is. So, the rest of the team of the SAI, the Bambi and Amy and Clarice and Brenda and the director, they're it, it's going to take another episode to explain all that. But I will say this: the director is loosely based off of my wife, Chris. So it's like, there's been times that she's just downright scary, and she's an accountant, and the director, she's a genius scientist from the accountant department who's in charge. I just thought that was funny, and that popped in my head. It's like, yeah, I like that. That's funny. So I put it in there. And Bambi Badass, she's an army brat, and she's awesome. I love Bambi. I can see a little bit of myself in Bambi. And Amy, she's annoying. And let's see, Clarice and Brenda, their characters, I developed them more in book 2. Book 2 was more about them in the first part of the book. And in the second part of the book, it was more about the director and Bambi. So, yeah. You got that many characters, and then Mace, who's, he's based off my oldest son, Matthew. And it's like, I got a whole ensemble of characters, and that's just the good guys. The bad guys, oh my god, I got so many bad guys coming out of my everywhere. It's just, yeah. So it's like, there's no way I could do one novel length book of this. So I did a series of novellas, and novellas are, shorter than a novel. And I try to have at least 100 pages to 200 pages. Now on the novellas, if you don't know what a novella is a short novel. It's at least 100 pages. Well, Webster's Dictionary and Google says 90 pages to 200 pages. And a novel is 300 to 500 pages. So, there's that. And the novellas are more like, the old dime store novels. That's what they are. So, it's just, and I'm doing it in a series like this. I get to develop the characters more, and you get more out of it. Instead of just getting one book of 600-700 pages, you get a whole series of between 130 to 190 pages, and that's where I aim for. Book 1 was 133 pages, and book 2 is 188 pages, and then book 3 is 106 pages. And then Tales of Illuminati, which is based off this series, is 109 or 110 pages. I think it says, yeah. I might have those last two backwards. But yeah, it's just, they're, like the Dime Star novels. And this way, in a series, I get to write more. And I published the first one in the spring of 2020. Pandemic was just coming on the scene. My brother had passed away, and I was halfway done. And it's like, I took some time off from work, like a couple weeks of vacation, and I just whipped out book 1. And got it done. And it got published by April 19th, I believe, on Amazon. So, and then I was working on book 2, and I went all the way until end of September. I quit my day job at my old job. And that was nuts. We were working 16 hours, I was working about 16 hours, 7 days because of the pandemic. It was a food plant, and they're saying, "Oh, you're an essential worker, so we gotta do this. We gotta provide." It's like, you sons of bitches. We need time off. I need time off, and it wasn't. No matter how hard I worked, how much I produced, it was never good enough, and those bastards just kept on digging and digging into me. And it's like, finally, I said, "Fuck you people. I'm quitting." And this one other area, I was a relief area leader, and this other area leader, she's like, acts like, she's all that, and her shit don't stink. And like, when I told her, I was like, I put in my 2 weeks notice. I go, "My past is your future." She instantly broke down, started crying, and fucking went to the supervisor. And I had the supervisor come over to me and was like, "You just started a shit storm." I was like, "Yeah, no shit. Now fuck you and get away from me, because I'm tired of your shit too." And it's like, they brought in these two-faced supervisors from a cookie factory that was non-union. We were union at the pizza factory, and I mean, when those two supervisors first started a couple years before the pandemic, they were really cool, but then they just started digging in, and they started firing people, and they got rid of a lot of good people. And I'm going to the steward, and I'm like, these sons of bitches, they're nice to me, but they're firing everyone else. And it's like, I just got help get second shift restarted, and they're basically making shit up about the people that they're firing. It's like, this shit's, we don't have a steward on second, and I told the chief steward on first, and he's like, I've been getting the same complaint from a few of the other people that went to second. And it's like, I go, "Man, you gotta do something." It's like, these two people, they gotta fucking go. And yeah, long story short, I left, and the pandemic opened my eyes. My brother passing away opened my eyes. I did not want to go and work 16 hours, 40 minutes from my house every day. It's like, that's nuts. I was waking up at 4 in the morning to be to work by 6, and then I was getting home about 10 o'clock at night. So, yeah, and then I would wake up in the middle of the night with leg cramps, and it just, and body aches, and it was killing me. And I said, it's like, you know what? I want to be an author. I want to write books. And it's like, I can't do it working for you people. So here's my notice. I'm leaving. And when I left, 15 other people were right behind me they left. Within 2 weeks after I left, they left. And it's like, that place is nothing but a revolving door now, in and out. And it's like, I've got no regrets. And now I'm working at a pretty cool place, and it's 10 minutes from my house, and it's easy work, and it's 8 hours a day. Now they do have overtime that I can work. It's like, if I need it. So it's like, yeah, sure. So, I've been working 8 hours, and it's been pretty good. I enjoy what I do at my new day job. It allows me to think. Allows me to think about publishing my books, and here's another thing. I've been there a year, and I'm almost back to my original pay at the old job that took me 23 years to get to that pay rate. It's like, I'm within $1 of it. It's like, seriously. And it's 40 minutes difference. Or, my old job was 40 minutes from my house, whereas this new job is 10 minutes, and I'm within $1 of what I used to make. So it's like, if you add in the cost of gas, wear and tear on the car, and it's like, yeah, I'm making as much as I was at the old place, and I just started a year ago, and my my boss. I got a supervisor, and he's absolutely cool. And, he loves me. I show up, and I do my job, and I do it well. And it's awesome. And it allows me to think about publishing my books and, writing my stories. And that's what I want to do. And that other job is like, couldn't do it. Could not do it. And those people were unrelenting. And I had 23 years seniority, and they would overlook that and make and play favoritism with people with less seniority, and they would screw me over. And I go complain to the steward, and he wouldn't do a damn thing about it. So I said, fuck you, I quit. And when I quit, I took probably it was September 4th of 21 when I left. I went on vacation end of September for a week to Hockin Hills, Ohio. We rented a cabin. So we rented a cabin in the woods so I could finish book 2. And Hockin Hills, Ohio, we didn't even go because it was, in the middle of the pandemic. We didn't do anything. We rented a cabin. It had a hot tub. It had a pool table. We stayed there, and Chris took care of me. She fixed the food. We relaxed. We had a good time, and I wrote. And by the time we were done, I told her, I said, hey, we're only about 6 hours from your folks' house in North Carolina. So we drove down there to see them for a couple of days. And by the time we came back home, I had book 2 written. And then here's the funny thing. We sent out to the editing service to edit book 2, and she totally botched it. So we fired that person, and Chris did the editing on it, and she did a good job for it. And then I was coming up with these other ideas for a new series, and I came up with Tales of Illuminati, and then Boxcar Willie as the first book, and it was a Western. So, yeah, I had all these other side elements, and I put them into Boxcar Willie, and it's a Western. It takes place mostly on a train, and yeah, it's awesome. So, I will play a clip another time. Tonight, I know I've been playing clips of the audiobooks. Tonight, I just felt like talking. So, next, well, let's see. We're going into the weekend. See, today's Friday. Probably won't be an episode on Saturday, but there's going to be an episode Sunday, but it's going to be a different format. So the Sunday show is going to be more, how will we say, it's going to be longer. There's going to be video of it. I'm going to stream, I'll use OBS software, and I'm going to change things up. It'll be a Sunday show where in the morning when I drink my coffee, and I'm going to be, I got a whole bunch of tabs opened up on my browsers, and I'm going to be talking about a whole variety of topics, anywhere from science to some news, music, movies, and banking. Let's see. Oh, and farming. So if you're into farming, tractors. I've been looking for a new tractor because the tractor we have is old. So I think that's where I'm going to end things now for tonight. And there won't be an episode on Saturday, but there will be one Sunday. There'll be video on the YouTube channel, and I will take the audio from that and put it here in the podcast. So if you want to watch the video, you can go to YouTube and check it out on the Celeste Stacy 67 on YouTube. But yeah, so I think I'll end it there, and have a good night, and hope to see you back at the next episode.
You've been listening to The Celeste Stacy Show. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and tell your friends and family. All comments or suggestions can be emailed to the show via celestestacy67@gmail.com and also on Twitter at celestestacy67. Thanks for listening.